Hi everyone, welcome to Little Things. I see you're trying to pick up a new hobby this year and you want to start crocheting. You go to the local yarn store and now you're like drowning in these like giant yarn aisles and you have no idea what to get. You don't know what type of yarn to buy. Is it cotton? Is it wool? Is it like acrylic? But what types of hooks? Is it the metal one? Is it the one with the grip? And like which size do I get? And it's just so confusing and overwhelming. So if you're anything I just described, you found the right place. So I'm starting a new series which is for absolute beginners. I'm going to talk about what to buy in terms of supplies, which is this video. In part 2 of the video, we'll be talking about how to do the stitches, the single crochet, double crochet, and how to start a project, how to end a project, and all that good stuff. So before we start, I just want to tell you that you will become an amazing crocheter as long as you put in the hard work. And by then, you probably want to start selling your crochet creations, because why not? You get to like cover all the expenses and also you get to get paid to crochet. Like, isn't that like a dream? And you'll need a website to run the crochet business. And the best platform to build your website is with Universe. So Universe is a drag and drop app for creating websites where you can pick your personalized domain and customize your website. Everything in Universe is literally so self-explanatory and it's so beginner friendly. So many templates I can choose from. So it really saves all the hassle of like creating your own website from scratch. But obviously you can choose a blank canvas. There are a lot of useful functions, for example, changing the background colors, adding images, adding text on your website. And I also added these organic shapes in the background of my website to kind of add to it. And oh my gosh, this is like one of my favorites too. You get to like doodle, and I drew like these little hearts. And then you can add buttons to redirect people to other links, for example, to my YouTube channel, my Ko-fi, and Etsy. And I also changed the colors of the buttons, and I love the pastel colors. And the download and sell block allows you to start selling your creations with Universe. And that only applies to the US. On top of that, I actually made my website all on my phone. Whenever I'm trying to update my YouTube links, I get to just do it on the phone, like on the train to school. But you can also use it on your laptop, which is amazing. So click the link below in the description box to get a 25% off your first year of Universe. When you finish making your Universe website, make sure to drop it in the comments. I would love to check out you guys' website. So now back to the video. I'm gonna go through all the materials you'll need to start crocheting. And I'm gonna go through it one by one. And at the end, I'm gonna tell you where and how to get them. So make sure you watch till the end. So first off, most important thing, we need to get yarn, because the size of the yarn is going to determine the size of the hook. So we need to get the yarn first, then get the hook. So as you know, there are so many different types of yarns and they're all like made out of different materials. And here are some yarns to avoid. So chenille yarn, cotton yarn, fluffy yarn, and highly textured yarns. So for the chenille yarn, I like the fluffy yarn and highly textured yarns. They're so hard for you to see the stitches. I'm using like the fluffy yarn. I'm just using like the muscle memory to like do the stitches because you like physically cannot see the stitches. And with cotton yarn, it is so soft, but then it is so prone to splitting. So what splitting means is that, you know how yarns are like made of thin and multiple strands of yarn and being twisted together? You get caught into like the yarn, especially with like beginners. It's so frustrating for you, so don't get cotton yarn. So what are the yarns that you should get? First off, you really do not need those premium $50 yarn to start because you're just starting and you gotta save that money for later. Instead, you should be getting acrylic yarn. It's probably like half the price or like 1/3 of the price of other yarns. Also, you get like a bigger volume. And acrylic yarn is less prone to splitting. And now let's talk about the colors of the yarn. So choosing the right color is really important. So definitely go for the lighter colors. I love white, a light pink, yellow. Other colorful colors are great. However, avoid black at all costs. I made that mistake. When I first started, I bought like a black yarn and I wanted to make like a hat for my friend. And I've just wasted a lot of time just trying to like get my hook into the right stitch because I just could not see the stitches because it's too dark. So no to all the dark colors and yes to all the lighter colors. So you might notice that there are different sizes of the yarn. Some yarns are thicker, some yarns are like thinner. So it is called different yarn weight. When you're just starting, I would really recommend getting 8 ply, which is DK yarn, or 10 ply, which is worsted weight yarn. It's like not too thick but not too thin, and it's probably one of the most common weight yarn, which is like really easy to find. So you can check the yarn weight on the yarn label, and there is like different names times for different yarn weight in different countries. And there's this conversion table created by handy little me. And you can reference this table over here and find the correct yarn weight name. Now that we've got the yarn, now we can choose our hook. So on the yarn label, you will see not only the yarn weight, but also the recommended hook size. Personally, for 8 ply, I like to use 3.5mm hook. And for 10 ply, I like to use 4mm hook. That's just my personal preference, and I also recommend the same to you. So note that if you use a smaller hook size, you will have a smaller piece. But if you use a bigger hook size, since the hook is bigger, there will be more gaps in your stitches, so hence your work will be bigger. And now let's choose which type of hook to get. So should you use metal hook or like ergonomic? So I would definitely recommend this one because this is just thicker to hold and your hand wouldn't cramp as much. And this is my first ever hook. Since it's so small, so freaking hard to use, so yeah, just stick with the ergonomic hooks. And now let's talk about darning needle. So you might be thinking, what do we do with darning needles? You know how when you finish a crochet project, there'll be like a tail sticking out, like hanging there at the end, and that's when you use darning needle to like sew it back to hide it in the stitches in the piece. It'll be hidden inside the project. So there are metal darning needles and plastic darning needles. Which one do I get? Both are fine, and also you'll be losing tons of darning needles and also like stitch markers, which I'll talk later. So I got this case. Since it's like magnetic, I can just stick my metal darning needle onto this case, which is so convenient. How did I not find this sooner? And so yeah, now they're all like safe and sound. Now let's talk about stitch marker. Do you need stitch marker? Absolutely yes. I will literally like come to your house and like throw a bunch of stitch marker at you. Like you need to have stitch marker because when you're first starting, it can be really confusing to find the very first stitch or like a certain stitch. A stitch marker, you would use it for indicating where a certain stitch is instead of you trying to like count all the stitches again and then. So the alternative for stitch marker is safety pins, bobby pins, a hoop earring. But be careful for the bobby pins. I used to use them on like white yarns. When I take it out, it like stained my white yarn. I think safety pins is a better option. And lastly, you'll need scissors. So you can use any type of scissors, but I recommend getting like the smaller ones because sometimes you might want to like crochet on the go. A smaller scissors would really like, comes in handy. So here are some optional supplies for making amigurumis. So amigurumis are like the crochet plushies. For example, like a little keychain. You know how like they have eyes? You can either use safety eyes or felt. So for the felt, you basically just cut it out and then glue it onto the crochet piece. And then for the safety eyes, 2 types of safety eyes. One looks like a pin and the one is literally just like half a sphere. So if you're making like amigurumi, I would really recommend the pin one. It's just more secured that way. But if you're planning on giving the amigurumi to like children, like kids, then I would recommend the one without the thing sticking out. It might accidentally, I don't know, for some reason the eye falls out and they get hurt and stuff. So it's just safer that way. And the third material is stuffing. So you know how it's 3D and there has to be something inside or else it's gonna like deflate. Not like deflate, but like it's gonna like, then it'll be like not squishable. So yeah, these are like the optional supplies if you want to make amigurumi. So now you know exactly what supplies you need, and I'm going to show you how and where to get them. And I highly recommend getting a starter kit because the starter kit is literally like a value pack. You get everything you need that I just mentioned before, except for like the optional supplies for amigurumis. It has all sizes hooks from 2mm up to 8mm, so you could work with all kinds of yarns from 3-ply yarn all the way up to bulky yarn. It also comes with row counter, measuring tape for gouache, different sizes metal darning needles so it doesn't break like the plastic ones, scissors for cutting the yarns, and oh my gosh, a stitch marker. I've always used bobby pins instead of a stitch marker, but bobby pins always stain my yarn. And having a stitch marker is such a game changer, and it also helps to keep track of your work. There's this really cool yarn cutting ring which is designed for you to cut the yarns on the go so you don't have to bring scissors outside. And I got the starter kit on Amazon and I absolutely love it. I still use it like all the time. Whenever I want to crochet on the go, I just bring this kit and I'm good to go. Like I don't have to like get all my supplies from like everywhere. And also with the starter kit, look at the colors of the hooks. It's literally like so colorful. You will not accidentally use like the wrong hook for like a project. And they're all ergonomics too. And look at the scissors. It's like a very small, like also like safe as well. You like plug it in like that. It's literally one of the best purchases I've ever made because I remember when I first started crocheting, I'm constantly going back and forth to like Spotlight to pick up like something I need. If I got the starter kit like right away, I wouldn't have to like, oh, I actually need a darning needle. Oh right, I need a stitch marker. My life would have been way easier. So yeah, this starter kit, I've linked it down in the description box and it's on Amazon. And also for the yarn, I really recommend this acrylic yarn on Amazon. And also I've linked the acrylic yarn that I recommend down in the description box, so you can get it with the starter kit too. Also stay tuned for part 2 of this series where I teach you guys how to make basic stitches. So yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye!